So this video makes up part of a series that I'm doing talking about an unregulated lash industry and the truth behind what goes into our unregulated products. So in this video, I'm going to talk about, like I said, the dark side of the lash industry. I'm going to teach you about actually what goes on that no one likes to talk about, and also what lash suppliers and lash artists are not ready to accept really goes on in the lash industry. Now, if you haven't watched my first video in this series, it talks about how I was allergic in 2014, and that's why I've been on a journey for the last 9 years to learn all I can about product safety and produce super safe liquids and glues that have enabled me to be able to lash again. So here's the truth. Now, the Far East, and I always get shot down in flames for collectively grouping the Far East countries together. Frankie, you shouldn't bash these countries. But unfortunately, the Far East is the main producer of all of our lash liquids and adhesives within the lash industry. It's where they originated from, and it's where about 90 to 95% of our lash adhesives and liquids still come from. And the reason being is because they can produce these products out there for super cheap. You know, it's cheap labor. Manufacturing standards fall very, very short, and I do have a really great in-depth blog on this on my website, eyelashexcellence.com. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just keep this quick, and I'm going to keep it very simple rather than overcomplicating it. Okay, so what you've got to get your head around is that these big manufacturers of lash liquids and adhesives, so if I say liquids, I'm including adhesives as well, they don't do this for passion, okay? And it's really hard to say that. Of course they don't. I used to work at a supermarket on the deli counter where I used to serve meat, okay? I had no passion for it. It just paid my bills at the end of the day. And it's the same principle for these manufacturers. They make a product that gets retailed to the beauty industry. They have no passion for it. So why are they going to worry about product safety? Whereas somebody like me that's been personally affected, I have passion for this, okay? I have passion for being able to lash again, and I don't want others to have to experience what I did, because I know if you share the passion that I have, you love what you do and you don't want your career ended. But they don't have this passion. It's about profit. Now, if you think about how much you'll pay for a lash adhesive, okay, off Amazon you can get them for like £10 or $12, and if you go to a lash supplier, okay, normally you're looking at anything from like $20 to $50 or £20 to £45, okay. But here's the truth, and the liquids again, they're probably a little bit cheaper, but the truth is that they will be selling these to suppliers for about $1, and when you buy off a brand that is buying their stuff from the Far East, you are basically lining their pockets with massive profit margins, because they're buying cheap from the Far East and making a huge profit on it. Now, then let's take it down a step one. If you have a manufacturer that sells to a supplier, but they can manufacture a product that is designed for beauty, so it's designed for use on the eyes, so really it needs to be super safe, and they can produce it and make a profit on $1, and for that $1 they're selling the lid, the bottle, the labelling and the ingredients inside of it. That must cost just a few cents to make if they can make a profit on $1. You cannot tell me that the products that are used inside of that are quality products. They're not. Now, what happens is the ingredients that go into, let's talk about lash glue, okay? And the same does apply for lash liquids. They're low grade, but we're going to focus on the lash glues here. It is the basic form of the ingredient that you get. Now, if you're going to do anything for beauty, your products have to be purified. To take anything up to medical grade or beauty grade, the ingredients have to go through purification or distillation in order to make the product clean. But that costs every time you filter a product. That costs every time you have to employ toxicologists to test the quality of those ingredients to be safe to be used on the body, and especially on something like the eyes where it's so close to the eyes and it's ingested through the mucous membrane. That has to go through rigorous testing. That costs money, so much money. Now, to do that, it would price the Far East out of the market. So they don't do it. They literally just get the basic ingredients. So, for example, cyanoacrylate is in the glue. That's the stuff that makes it sticky. That's super glue. Basically, you're being sold super glue in its original formula, but they've put a label on it for lashes. That is what it is. But if you wanted to take that cyanoacrylate to beauty grade, you've got to distill it. You've also then got to use stabilizers. So stabilizers are products that are put into the adhesive to make it stable, as in it adjusts the cure speed, it stops it polymerizing inside of the bottle. So they put stabilizers in it that also work well with almost what we're going to call industrial grade cyanoacrylate. So industrial grade cyanoacrylate is what you would use super glue. They would use it to stick aeroplanes back together, car parts together, basically in industry. It's never designed to use for beauty. But cyanoacrylate, if you do take it up to medical beauty grade, it's a brilliant product. It's why they use it in National Health Service here in the UK. In the USA, they'll use it in their hospitals there. You know, it is a great product if it's brought to medical or beauty grade. But they don't do any of this because it costs too much money. But the stabilizers that they also use are industrial as well, whereas with the UK made lash liquids, they're cosmetic grade stabilizers. But they would never do that in the Far East because, again, it would cost too much money. Now you're probably thinking, well, how the hell are they allowed to get away with basically selling super glue with a label on it to a lash industry? It's because no one polices this, okay? Yes, there are organisations such as, like in the UK, you know, we have things like trade and standards, and we have to register our products that we import on a portal. And also the USA have the FDA, but no one ever actually opens the bottle to test the products inside. They just basically go off an ingredients list and a material safety data sheet sometimes. But a lot of the material safety data sheets are false, and the ingredients list, you can write whatever you want on there and no one will care. Even in the UK where we have strict regulations, no one cares. So this is how these products are allowed to be mass produced for super cheap in the Far East and then sold to any country because nobody actually polices these products being brought in. And the scary thing is there are ingredients that we found in Far East lash adhesives. They're not even talking about the crappy low quality of the cyanoacrylate, but we've found stabilizers in these lash glues coming from the Far East that big companies are selling, you know, companies that you're buying from. And I'm not here to bash suppliers, and I will do another post on another video on this one, that are banned in the UK, that are known to cause serious respiratory issues, are known to cause infertility in test subjects on rats, and they can't even test it on humans for that reason. But big companies are selling this because they don't have any product knowledge. They're just taking the manufacturer's guidelines that these products are safe and selling it, and then selling these adhesives for like $50 that cost like $1 to buy. So this is the problem, guys, and this is why there's so many allergic reactions happening, which can be prevented. This doesn't have to happen. It really doesn't. But the industry is so uneducated about it, and there's very few of us that know about this and are willing to talk about it, but I am. So like I said, I've got some great blogs on this on my website, Eyelash Excellence. Go and check them out because it talks about it in more detail as to why this happens, the unsanitary conditions that these products are produced in. And also, I'm from a country like the UK, and I'm just going to quickly group the USA, Australia and Canada into it, okay? We have high standards which tend to supersede those around the globe. Okay, UK and EU, we have the high standards, but in these other countries like the Far East, their standards fall far short of what we would expect. So for them, it's fine, okay? But for us, the standards are short. You know, the factory conditions that these adhesives and liquids are made in are not good. Whereas here, we make them in labs, in sterile labs. You know, the toxicologists are on site to test every batch that runs off a machine to make sure that they're safe. That never happens because it doesn't need to. It's a completely different way in which they produce it. And you've only got to see some videos on YouTube of factories out there where, you know, their health and safety is really poor. You know, there's workers in freaking flip-flops with no PPE, no gloves on, and they're working near presses, or they've got machines and their fingers are near it. We would never get away with that here in the UK. So this is why our standards are so much higher, and why, you know, what we call the more developed countries produce higher quality. So unfortunately, that is the truth, you know, and all the time that it's so cheap to get your lash liquids out there, suppliers are going to go there. When I buy my liquids from the UK, I pay a lot more. I make very little profit on them compared to that, but I do this for passion. I have to have these products to be able to work. I can't work with these Far East products because they'll just make me sick again. I spent so much time trying to get my health back on track so that I can lash again and earn my money as a lash artist. But people don't want to spend their money on products if they can get it for $1 from the Far East and there's no one policing it are holding them accountable. But guys, this will make you sick, okay? It might not make you sick today, it might not make you sick next month, and it might not make you sick next year, but this will make you sick. And the problem is that the lash industry is so new, we haven't studied yet the effect that this will have on our health. And to be honest, they don't really care because it's collectively mostly women and it's beauty. So no one really cares. So there will be a lot of sick lash artists if this continues, but hopefully things will start to change and suppliers will start to understand that they need to be clued up on the products that they are buying in and selling, because most of them don't have a clue. And like I said, I will do another video on that one. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, put them in the comments or drop me an email. You can find our email address on the website, eyelashexcellence.com. I'm always happy to help answer any questions. I talk to a lot of lash artists that are potentially allergic and don't know how to move forward. So I'm always happy to share my knowledge that I've learned over the last 9 years to help other people.